Money is waiting. Decisions to be made. 2 hours. 2 hours from the NBA Free Agency Money Festival. Here we are, 2 hours of SportsCenter.
There's the clock behind us. Of course, Woj is here. 2 phones for Woj. I got mine in case James Van Riemsdyk signs.
I turned mine off.
NHL Free Agency as well. We have breaking news, though, to start this night of NBA. Yes. Kevin Durant will remain with the Warriors. We knew that. The contract is kind of interesting. It's a 1-and-1. He'll become a free agent again next summer. He'll make $30 million this year, so he saves the Warriors some money on the luxury tax. And he'll opt out again next year. That's an insurance policy for year 2. And then we'll go through this again. And maybe he'll sign with the Knicks, with Kyrie Irving or something, Woj. It's a fun night, I know, for you. This is why you're in the business. Lots going on. Explain the deal to the fans out there, why he signed the 1-and-1.
Well, it continues to give him the flexibility to, do another deal next year, or to keep looking in free agency.
Why not max out, though, now with the Warriors? Like, what's stopping him from doing that, what do you think?
He has yet to sign a long-term deal with the Warriors, and you've seen this. LeBron James did this in Cleveland with a shorter deal since he's been back. And you're seeing more and more of the superstar player doing shorter deals and not believing they need that 4 or 5 year supermax long-term security. And so while Kevin Durant's been committed and he's been here, until he signs that long-term deal, you wonder if is there somewhere else in his future? It's hard to imagine him leaving that situation. It's been perfect for him, and they're in position to keep winning championships into the foreseeable future.
Yeah, you wonder if there's one more act for him. Certainly this move makes you believe it is. Just like the LeBron James moves, Woj just talked about, makes you believe there's one more act for him. So LeBron James, of course, he is a free agent. We got this video today, landing in Los Angeles. Does have a home there. This is 11 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, and that's LeBron. He's the tall one with the white hat. And again, I guess, and also, Woj, we should clarify, teams could start talking to players at noon today. Was that true?
Well, they can start setting up meetings for once we get past midnight. And, sometimes there's teams who want to do them right at 12:01 a.m. and some wait till the morning or afternoon.
This is 9 Pacific, so they can talk 9 Pacific, right? They're good to go.
Well, they can set up a time. It used to be how to play this game of at 12:01 a.m. we both happen to meet in the same place, but we didn't set it up. But yeah, LeBron now he'll have the opportunity though after midnight to go meet with Magic Johnson, meet with Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss in ownership, and start to get an idea of their vision of how they build a team around them, what they'd like to do, what their plans are with pursuing Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, all of those factors. Finally LeBron James will be able to have legally those conversations with the Lakers.
Is it your sense he will sign with them no matter what happens? Like, they can't guarantee Kawhi as of now. Maybe they can tomorrow. I don't know. But you think I'm just going to go to the Lakers, then we'll let the chips fall for what they may? Is that your sense, or do you think he'll still wait to see what they can do?
No, it seems like from those around him and then those with the teams who are competing for him that they believe he is going to make a decision largely independent of whether Paul George comes, whether a deal with Kawhi Leonard happens. I mean, the one thing if you go to the Lakers and they have salary cap space, they are going to be attractive. And the moment LeBron James walks in the door, there are no guarantees, but that players are going to want to play with him because players want to play in L.A. You've seen in the past few years here, nobody necessarily wants to be the first one in. It's not easy to be in L.A. and be a great player and not have enough around you to win. You're going to take a lot of heat. The standard in L.A. is winning championships, not getting into conference finals or reaching the finals. But the sense in Cleveland, they've not had much communication. The team has not had communication with LeBron James. They've talked with his agent. And when he left Cleveland the first time, when he left Miami and how he dealt with them, it got quiet on teams, and it's gotten quiet on the Cavaliers here since the end of the playoffs.
Russell Westbrook's having a party in Oklahoma City tonight. He cut short his vacation in Hawaii and flew back to Oklahoma City. People seem to think that's a sign that Paul George is going to sign with them. Do we know anything at this hour?
Well, Sam Presti, Oklahoma City's GM, he is a great orchestrator of events. When Paul George's flight lands in Oklahoma City and there's fans at the airport, when they have like a greeting in the city for him. And this kind of event on midnight, the beginning of free agency, maybe having some pretty popular music in the building. Russell Westbrook did fly back from a vacation and may fly right back again after. This is all part of Oklahoma City's recruitment of Paul George, which has started the moment he arrived in the city and made an impact on Paul George from the first days he got there. I was there with him in his first few days in Oklahoma City, and they had impacted his feelings about that place and L.A. right away.
People in the middle of the country are very warm and sincere, and they love when people take their heart into consideration. And maybe Paul George has for now. We hope it's not for a dramatic effect for his behind-the-scenes show. Kawhi Leonard. Suddenly, that situation has gotten quiet. This other stuff's going to trump. Kawhi was all the rage this last week. What do we know about Kawhi at this hour?
Boston, Philadelphia, they've continued to have conversations with the Spurs. There's been less conversation between the Spurs and Lakers really the last couple days. The Lakers have kind of slow-played this. They have not acted in a way where they feel there's a desperation to get Leonard through the door before LeBron James has to make a decision. I think there was a feeling a few days ago where there would be an urgency, and I think clearly their sense, either from LeBron James or what their belief is that they don't have to have Paul George, or they don't have to have a Kawhi Leonard trade done for LeBron James to make a decision on them. I think that's become clear with how they behaved here in the last few days.
Yeah, can't appear too needy when you're trying to negotiate a trade. And finally, any deals you think, when the clock strikes midnight now in less than 2 hours, do you think we'll start to see some deals after midnight?
We will. You know, listen, Houston and Chris Paul, you know, they're on track there. Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, you know, and these are max level contracts. There's nothing to negotiate there. Will Barton and the Denver Nuggets, a lot of momentum toward them getting a deal there. And so there will be some action here tonight, and you'll see some players tonight and then into tomorrow morning sifting through offers and probably making some quick decisions.
All right. Now, do you sleep tonight? Do you give yourself 4 to 6 a.m.? Like, what's the plan for Woj sleeping?
4 to 6 a.m. sounds like a good window.
You must be petrified to fall asleep.
I am.
I bet.
Yeah.
He'll be here all night with us, and then Scott Van Pelt, midnight ESPN.
Now, but that's also how we know that LeBron is currently hanging out in Los Angeles after this private jet carried him from the Caribbean, where he's vacationing with his family, to Los Angeles, landing at Van Nuys Airport in the valley just north of the city. Of course, LeBron and the Lakers have been tied together in terms of rumors and speculation over the last several days, last several weeks. But he does have 2 homes in the area as well, and he spent several summers in the past hanging out in Los Angeles. But the entire city of L.A., especially Laker Nation more specifically, really tied into LeBron's arrival with the impending free agency period starting a little bit later tonight, less than 7 hours. So to get a little deeper into this, of course, we bring in NBA senior insider Adrian Wojnarowski. We know that he's in L.A. right now. What else do we know about LeBron and his plans?
We don't know dinner plans. We don't know what he's got on tap tonight. But, you know, at midnight, the Lakers can contact LeBron James. They can start having a conversation with him. They can set up a meeting. Now, the NBA rules dictate that you can't do that before midnight.
Right.
It happens all the time in the league, but I think the Lakers are trying to put a premium because of the tampering fine they got earlier this year. They're kind of on double secret probation, so I think they can wait and then be able to start a conversation with him once they get to 901 on the West Coast.
Right. We often hear teams meeting around 901, 902, but again, according to the league rules, they have to first make contact before they can set up anything. We'll see if the Lakers are indeed the first team to get in front of LeBron. But let's talk about another person that we've heard a lot of speculation about lately, and that is Kawhi Leonard and the trade situation with the Spurs. As you've been reporting, several teams have been coming at the Spurs with deals, but nothing's been done as of yet. Where does it stand right now?
Yeah, I think there's really some cautiousness with all the teams in these talks. No one is falling over themselves offering San Antonio everything the Spurs want. Boston and Philadelphia have been talking with the Spurs. There's nothing imminent or close there. And the Lakers, they've gone, you know, they haven't had as much regular dialogue with L.A. The Lakers have not shown necessarily urgency that some thought they might as they were ramping up here to LeBron James's free agency, Paul George. That doesn't mean that the Lakers won't get more aggressive here, but so far they played it fairly cool. They haven't offered all the young players and assets, future picks that it would take for the Spurs to move quickly and do a deal. And right now, San Antonio knows we can play this out. Yeah. We can offer him that $219 million Supermax contract, and make them turn it down.
Yeah, again, of course, the speculation was the Lakers wanted to get 2 players clearly, and maybe LeBron wanted to wait and see who the Lakers were going to get before he decided where he was going to go, whether it was L.A. or not. So Woj is sticking around. Is going to be with us a little bit later here on Sports Center. Plenty more to dive into as it relates to free agency. Right now, it's over to Zubin.
Michael, thank you very much. Adrian, thank you very much. Just hit on parts 1 and 2 about the Lakers' green trifecta. That's part 3. Paul George scheduled to become a free agent at 12:01 a.m. Eastern after declining his team option with OKC. Of course, could always remain there, but linking him to the Lakers was prevalent even when he played for the Indiana Pacers. So we're going to be in a situation here where we'll be watching this as well. Our Royce Young has watched every game he's played in the Thunder uniform, could be past tense at this point. So what's the latest from OKC's side of things here on the Paul George front?
Yeah, Zubin, they still feel like they're in a great position. You know, free agency is about to open. It opens, like you guys said, 12:01. And the Thunder, they've tried to use kind of their advantageous position to continue to recruit Paul George, because that's the reason that they made the trade a year ago today. They made the trade stunning everybody, sending Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis to the Pacers for Paul George, is so that they could essentially take 12 months to begin selling Paul George. They knew that they were not going to get a seat at the table with him, and this was their opportunity to do so. So they've been in communication with Paul George and his representation. They understand that free agency is about to open. They like the position they're in. And if anything, Zubin, what they really like is that they're in the conversation, because there was no guarantees of that when they made this deal a year ago, that they even would have that seat at the table. But they are legitimately in the conversation for Paul George. And for the Thunder, that makes them feel pretty good.
Okay, got to mention, though, that this is kind of deja vu for the Thunder, because they've been here before. It was only a couple of years ago, I remember talking to you, that the Thunder was confident they'd be able to re-sign Kevin Durant. We obviously know how that turned out. So what makes Sam Presti, their general manager, think this situation is going to be any different, Royce?
Well, first of all, Zubin, how can you really bring yourself to think the other way? I mean, you don't want to go down that negative path. But, you know, I think for the Thunder, what the way that they kind of view this is, you know, these are 2 different situations. These are 2 different human beings. These are 2 different personalities. Yes, they both play small forward in the NBA. They're both all-star caliber players. They're both max-level guys that you want to re-sign, that said positive things about your franchise, and you hope to keep them. But the Thunder are trying to distance those 2 situations from each other. They thought they were going to keep Kevin Durant. They thought they were in a great position to do it. But one thing that I've been reminded a lot over the last few months about the Thunder is a lot of people kind of make that comparison, that Kevin Durant left, so therefore this situation feels similar. I'll remind you that the last max player that the Thunder had up for virtually free agency didn't just re-sign once, he re-signed twice, and that's Russell Westbrook. So the Thunder do have a recent track record of being able to keep a star, not only any star, but a kid that grew up in Southern California.
No question about it. One more for you before I let you go, and this really revolves around, Presti has done some amazing things with drafting players, but if they get the rental on Paul George and it doesn't become long-term, and obviously the Carmelo situation didn't turn out the way that they wanted to, where does the organization sit knowing they went all in on those pieces and really could lose Paul George and really gotten nothing from Carmelo?
Yeah, it's a huge risk that they've embarked on, Zubin, and they understand that. They were putting a lot on the line here, and they felt like that they had to do it. And they're going to be in a position, if Paul George does leave in free agency, they're going to have a team with Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, a ton of salary committed to this roster. They'll be over the cap. And really, in some ways, Zubin, it's worse than Kevin Durant leaving, because Kevin Durant walked away for nothing. Paul George not only will walk away for nothing, but he cost the Thunder 2 players as well, because they had to trade to get him. So the Thunder will be in a difficult position, and at that point, they'll have an even cloudier future. They'll have to start asking themselves even more difficult questions about, what do you do with the future of Russell Westbrook? Do you try to retool again, even with fewer assets than you had before? Or do you finally just pull the plug and decide to go for the full rebuild? That will be the conversation the Thunder will begin to have. But again, they don't want to go down that negative path quite yet. They want to keep thinking positively, like they're going to get it done.
No question about it. And I think if there is any general manager in the league that's gotten the benefit of the doubt over the last few years, who's been able to turn something into nothing or nothing into something, depending on how you look at it. One is Daryl Morey, and definitely the other is Sam Presti. That's our Royce Young, who'll be counting down to midnight, just like the rest of us, and Thunder Nation. Great to have him with us. Okay, so we had our NBA front office insider, Bobby Marks, here. 20 years in NBA front offices. You know what the pressure is like on a day like this. We just talked to Royce. First priority is to get PG-13 back but they were eliminated in the first round. So you tell me, financially speaking, how does this all work considering all the money they got tied up in him and the money he could get if he wants it?
Well, this is going to be an expensive team to keep together. And we saw last week the Carmelo Anthony option, $28 million, opted into his contract. Where Oklahoma City right now is, they're at $119 million. The luxury tax is $123 million. So this is before we even add Paul George. There is no tax bill right now. This team is in the repeater tax 4 out of the past 5 years. They will be in the luxury tax. And when we add Paul George over, look at where that number goes.
Wow.
That is a $93 million tax bill. That's what Paul George, on top of his salary, that's $120 million just to bring in Paul George. That's just for this year. Oklahoma City knew that going into last year when they made the trade, when they traded out Victor Oladipo. That's the cost to bring back Paul George. And how do you get better? How do you improve this roster? And one player to take a focus on is Jeremy Grant.
Had a nice season, right?
He did. And let's put him in at $9 million. Look at where that goes. That went from $92 million to $137. That's $40 million plus, just for Jeremy Grant. And when you add it up, $157 million in salary, $138 million in luxury tax, and we haven't even filled out some of your minimums yet. So that we're on pace to possibly see the first $300 million team in NBA history. But Oklahoma City knew this when they did the Carmelo trade, when they did the Paul George trade, how expensive this team was going to be.
And keep in mind, as you take a look at those two figures here, the projected salary cap is $101 million. So there they are at $157, then the tax. The big story around this entire offseason, as Bobby knows, is there's a ton of teams that frankly just don't have any money to spend. And at this particular juncture, it looks like the Thunder could be in that group. We'll be watching at 12:01 and every second moving forward. Bobby, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, as an unrestricted free agent, LeBron is eligible to join any of the NBA's 30 teams if he so chooses. But let's be real. We know that not every team is truly in the game when it comes to signing the king. Scoop Jackson helped us weed through the real buyers and the ones just browsing.
Who got the bag? One big enough to pay a king. Pay a king's ransom. Welcome to LeBron Watch Part 3, the 2018 version. He's become a human lottery ticket, probably worth more now than he's ever been at any time in his career. Everybody's chips are in, but only a few have a legitimate opportunity to win. First, there's the no shot lot. The oh hell no and stop tweaking teams that don't have a Scoop Jackson chance in heaven of getting LeBron. Let's get those teams out of the way quick like. Brooklyn, Phoenix, Atlanta, Chicago. Dallas, Orlando, Sacramento, Memphis. Minnesota, Detroit, Denver. Don't hold your breath. Toronto, Utah. Not happening. Going back to Miami. This ain't Cali. He ain't LL. And although the Clippers are in Cali, they are not the LA organization in the current conversation. And then there is Golden State. And if LeBron can learn anything about the hate that KD has to live with from going there, if you made the list, sorry, no disrespect, but there's a strong chance LeBron is thinking about playing for you, probably about as much as we just did.